I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to our fourth Movement for Life class of 2022. You can find many of our previous fitness classes on Missouri's YouTube channel at youtube.com/c/AARPMO. Movement for Life class is suitable for many levels of fitness, but you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. AARP Missouri also offers other live classes starting February 17th. That's a little pushback on the date that we said before. We'll have a new Zumba Light class. And we have links to past programs like Forever Fit and Yoga with Tyler that you can participate in from the recordings. You can find the links to current, past, and upcoming programs at aarp.org/moving it. Now, all of our programming is created with people age 50 plus in mind, but it's good for anyone of any age, anywhere. AARP hopes that our fitness classes like Movement for Life will be great options for anyone who may not be able to or may be a little hesitant to attend a traditional fitness class, like caregivers or for those with health reasons or maybe just for the convenience of working out at home. In addition to our online fitness classes, AARP also has resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 information, technology information, all kinds of great things on our website, aarp.org/nearyou. Now, let's get started with Movement for Life. Our instructor is Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, let's move.
All right, thank you, Diane. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to class number 4, working on getting halfway through. We'll start by standing today. Take your feet, bring them hip distance apart. Lift and spread the toes. Place them down on the mat. And take your eye gaze off the screen and bring them down to the floor in front of you. I want you to just listen to my voice now. Don't look at the screen so much. Feel your feet. And we've talked in the previous classes about putting pressure in the big toe mound, putting pressure in the piggy toe mound and the heel, making those triangles in each feet and distributing the pressure evenly in those triangles. So notice if you have equal distribution from the triangles. And then keep your toe pads light. Notice if you're gripping with your toes, keep the toe pads light. From your triangles in both feet, lift and lengthen through the spine. Grow just a little bit taller. There's a few ways you can do that. You can use the crown of your head as a place of reference and draw that area up towards the ceiling. As the crown of your head draws towards the ceiling, the shoulders want to pull down and away. Send the space of your hips slightly forward so that your hips are fully into extension. And let's breathe. Take an inhale in through your nose. Feel the air pass over the back of your throat. And then exhale away. We're just going to continue in this fashion, inhaling through the nose. I want you to notice, can you inhale through your nose without using your shoulders? Keep your wrists and arms heavy, shoulders down. Can you breathe in and fill up as full as possible in the torso without the shoulders? I'm turning on my headset. Without the shoulders coming up into the ears. Now, as you continue to breathe, feel expansion. Feel the bones of the ribs spread apart and stack on top of each other on your inhale. So breathe yourself tall in your inhale. And then maintain that shape on your exhale. Making it a point not to collapse your skeleton on the exhale. 2 more times with that breath. Inhale, tall and long and strong. Rib cage expands, the bones stay expanded on the exhale. Final time. And we'll begin class. I'm going to switch the camera to the toe cam because we're going to begin with our toe exercises today. And before I get there, you can just lift and spread your toes apart. And then notice you'll be keeping the big toe mound, piggy toe mound, and heel on the ground and place them down on the ground. Again, lift and spread the toes apart. And as the toes are lifted, spread apart, Can you place them down on the ground and still see some space in between your toes? If you want to sit down in a chair and do this exercise, you can lift and spread your toes, and you can even get down there and give your toes some assistance if they're feeling non-compliant with you. So all of these toe exercises can be done from seated. Lift and spread the toes again. Keep them lifted. Tap the big toe down, lift, tap the piggy toe down, and lift. Big toe, lift, piggy toe, and lift. Keep moving in this motion a few more times. It might feel good to have a little pad under your toes as you do this, or this will work on carpeting, okay? I'm used to this hard floor. I walk barefoot all the time. Lift and spread one final time and place the toes down. Now we're gonna do what's called a short foot. So place the toe pads down. Try to avoid curling the toes under. Keep lengthen the toes, but press the toes pads down. And notice how you create those little knuckles in your toe. Create the knuckles, press the big toe down, and feel your arch start to lift. Feel the strength that you have in your natural arch. Lift and spread the toes. Place them down, press the pads down, create your short foot, feel the arch lift. Now hug the inner thighs together. So it'll look like this. Lift and spread the toes. I'm just drawing my inner thighs toward one another. And then final time, lift and spread the toes. Place them down, short foot, squeeze inner thighs. Now draw navel into spine and turn on your glutes. Release. And we'll move to our next activity. Roll onto the outside of the left foot, or better, peel the inside of your right foot up and place it down. Do that on the other side. Peel the inside of the other foot up and place it down. Now you can stay there one foot at a time, or you can go into both sides. Let's take it to the inside. Lift the outside edge up of one foot. Lift the outside edge up of the other foot. And then doing one foot at a time, or both feet. This is called rock and roll. So you're just rolling and rocking to the inside and outside edges of your feet. You might feel a lot of sensation in the ankles, so we're getting some ankle mobility here, or even the outside edges of the outside lateral sides of the lower leg. And come back to center. We're going to do short foot now, or foot fold now. So you're just lifting and lowering your heel and coming into your foot fold. You're still keeping the big toe mound and piggy toe mound down. So knee is tracking forward, right over. You can look down and see that your knee is tracking over your big toe and second, third toe area. It's not out. It's not rotating out. Keep your heel lifted, and then can do a little windshield wiper. Again, going to the inside and outside. Now you'll feel some movement, maybe up in your hip a little. Started activating the hip. Great. Finish that. Place your heel back down. Shift your and the other side. This resolves, action gets unsettled. You can just stick with that exercise as long as it makes sense to you. So we're finding articulation in our foot as we lift the heel. Keep the heel lifted, and then find this windshield wiper. I like to drive this movement from the knee, but then I get a benefit in the ankle and the hip as I drive this. All right, I saw Diane's question. I wonder if I'm okay. All right, I'm just gonna keep going here and bring my heel back down. I'm gonna hope that we're still good to go. All right, intermittent freeze. So now we're gonna stand hips distance apart, and just work on elevating the heels. And then can you stay lifted when you elevate the heels? and then lower back down. Feel free to hold on to a chair when you do, or the wall, when you do this exercise. Sorry, my box is in the way. So we're just lifting and elevating the heels and then lowering back down. And what we're trying to do here is, can you lift up and slowly lower down? One more time, lift up the heels and slowly lower down. Okay, new shape. Now we're going to do the pizza slice shape. So the heels are together. So notice the skin of my heels are together. And then the space between my big toes is about the slice of a normal size of pizza. And then notice, can you bring your inner thighs together as much as possible? Squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing your glutes, and then press up and keep the heels together as you press up. You might hold on to the chair or the wall and then lower down. So you might notice, you can feel as you press up some inner thigh muscles, maybe even your glutes turning on when you do this. I like to lift and spread the toes. The wider the base of support, the more balance we'll have. You're trying to squeeze the heels and inner thighs together as you press up. Last time, dun, 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 and bring it back down. Shake it all out, and then we're going to go to our, oops, I'm sorry, wrong camera. Our mobility exercises. Okay, that's it for our toes today. Feet are hips distance apart. Strong posture, keeping the crease out of our hips. Send your front of your hips forward, but try not to lock out the knees too much. Lift and lengthen through the spine. And notice with your chin, if you are trying to stand tall and your chin goes up, feel how you get some compression in the back. So just notice how bringing the chin down and in creates this sense of length and space in the back of the neck. So let the chin be an important part of your posture, standing tall. I'm going to start with our neck exercises. We're going to do a little bit more complicated one. Drive your knuckles down to the ground. Bring your right ear toward your right shoulder. We're going to combine a lot of the movements that we did in the previous weeks. Find your left earlobe, pull it up to the ceiling so you create more sensation on the left side. Now we're going to add rotation. So keep the shape, right ear towards right shoulder, and just rotate your chin towards the opposite wall. Right? So now we have a little bit of rotation. From there, you're going to travel your chin over to the opposite shoulder. Once your chin arrives to the opposite shoulder, sweep the new ear down. And then that's where we land, right? So before we just went from right to left. Now we're going to do this figure 8 to get there. So left ear is to left shoulder, right jaw pulls up. Now, just using rotation, rotate your chin up towards the ceiling and the opposite wall, so it's the back of your head that's closer to your left shoulder. Once you get there, travel your chin over to the opposite shoulder. When your chin gets there, sweep the ear down, and we're in our new spot. Let's try that a little quicker. Rotate, chin travels, sweep the ear down. Keep sweeping as the chin travels up to the ceiling or rotates up to the ceiling, and then travel over. Sweep down the ear, rotate up the chin, travel the chin, sweep down the ear, rotate the chin up, travel the chin. Last time, sweep and rotate, and chin down, sweep and rotate. Now, if you're joining me for the first time, we have combined movements that we've been working on for the last 3 weeks in that figure 8 series. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Place your hands right on your chest. We've worked on our glides. We'll revisit those real quick. Chin forward and down. Oh my goodness, why does this feel like such a good stretch to me today? All right, and then chin up, back, and in. Just a few of those. And then we're going to do our sideways movements. Every time I grab my ear, I feel like Carol Burnett. I'm just turning on my headset. Bluetooth technology is amazing. I don't have that clanky headset that I had last year, but this voice in my ear just talks to me and tells me she's turning off all the time. Okay, there's our side to side movements. Now let's go for circles. So draw your chin back, glide it over to the right, chin goes forward and down, glide it over to the left, finding these 4 staccato areas, and then smooth out the circles. And you might hear some gravelly cracks and pops, maybe some gas bubbles popping, which is normal, but you shouldn't have pain. Never, never pain, my friends. Pause. Let's take it in the other direction, staccato-y first, okay? Pull the chin back and in, glide left, slide forward and down, glide right, pull it back up and in. Staccato, and then you can stay staccato, or you can smooth those glides out. Beautiful. I see a couple of people on the screens, and you're doing great. Those that I see. Nice. And let's come back to standing. Shrug the shoulders up into the ears and draw the shoulders down and away. Bring your arms long and your hands into a fist. And you want your fist about the height of your shoulders. We're going to do chasing shoulders. We've done this the past 3 weeks. Right shoulder up into the ear, elevates, then it pulls back, and then I pack it down in my pocket. Left shoulder pulls up into the ear, I pull it back, pack it down into the pocket. So one after the other, chasing shoulders, but you're working really hard to keep extension in the arms. So notice if you have a tendency to bend at the elbows, so you're not putting that full energy into the movement. And it's also an opportunity just to allow your biceps to stretch out a little bit or to, find some length. Good. Now, can you breathe the movement? Can you find the natural inhales and exhales in this movement? Maybe just 1 or 2 more, but if you choose to do these on your own, think about how you can breathe with your movement. Another point that I want to make in some of these movements is you don't want to look like me or anyone else. You want to meet yourself where you are. Okay, moving with the shoulders still. Bring the arms out, point your fingers, and you're going to blade your fingers together. Drive your heels into the ground. Turn on your glutes, stand tall, and then you're just gliding. So it's as this hand is reaching for something on the shelf. And I'm going to pause there and breathe into this left side. Now, if you can't breathe, if you have a sharp pain and you can't breathe, you want to back out of that. And then pull yourself back up. And take yourself the other direction. So you're reaching. Notice my shoulders are moving, but my hips are staying home. Good. Reach. Big side body stretch. And then my head is equal between my shoulders. I'm not dropping my head. It's equal between my shoulders. Come back up to center. Let's try that a couple more times. Glide and reach. Notice my right arm isn't dropping. It's reaching. Come back up to center. Reach the other direction. And final time. Good work, yogis. Movers and shakers. All right, we move, so let's shake. Okay, so I talk about that external rotation in the hips, or I talked about it last week. We put together pieces of the puzzle so that we can stand tall with active legs. So I want you to feel this in your shoulders. The same thing can happen in your shoulders. So I want you to hold on to fake suitcases, right? So this is your suitcase grip. Now, if I turn my wrists inward, so the backs of my hands are forward, and then I come back, I might be moving in the wrist, but can you make that movement move all the way up to the shoulder? And then bring it back. So can you begin to feel that internal rotation into the shoulder and then move it back? And then notice this time how that internal rotation might feel a little clogged or a little tight. Now let's try the same in the other direction. Open up your palms and then close them. Now notice I can move right at the wrist and nothing happens at my shoulder, but I'm finding that movement in my shoulder too. Now notice how much expansion you have across the chest. So this little lesson is going to come into play later, but I'm externally rotating in the shoulders. That allows me to find that shoulder pack a little bit better, okay? And the same is true in the legs. I can rotate just at the knees or the ankles, or I can feel that rotation up in the hips, which will help my glutes turn on. All right, arms up, thumbs on top, make your fists. We're gonna do shoulder screws. Elevate the right shoulder. Now we're gonna go to that internal rotation. That's where it feels kind of tight. Look over the opposite hand and then reach. And notice I'm coming into also a hip root. You don't have to, but it's a way to pair some exercises. And then as I stand up, I'm gonna unscrew that shoulder. Opposite side, elevate, internally rotate, sit back in my hip root, look over the opposite side. So you might feel the sensation in your neck. Keep breathing, my friends, and then unscrew. So I'm pairing shoulder screws with hip roots, if you've been with me the past few weeks. Now, if this is too much, leave the hip root out of it and just do the shoulder screws. You don't have to sit back in your hip root to get the benefit of the shoulder screw. Elevate, internally rotate, pack, and you're pulling your wrists in opposite directions, getting that delicious stretch as you're finding that rotation in the neck. So just building on pieces of the puzzle. Oops, there goes an earbud. I said that would happen. Nobody has to pick up the earbud but me. All right, and let's come out of our shoulder screws. Bring your hands together. Bring the fingers to, pointer fingers together, thumbs on top. Stand up nice and tall. And then start to extend through the elbows, through the arms, pushing the points of your fingers forward so that you feel the stretch in your back. The shoulders are going to come forward. The scapula or shoulder blades are going to separate. Now let your ribs round into the back of the room. Try not to get too much happening in the lower body. Keep this in the upper body. Take a breath here. And then separate the hands. As the hands separate, pull the heart forward and lift the eye gaze. You want to be nice and stretch out through the arms, not bend at the elbows. Chest expansion, big hug. Hug to everyone in class. That's what this is. Take an inhale here. Shoot and round. Shoulder blades separate. Back is round. Notice if your ears are up in your shoulders. Take them down away from the shoulders. Separate the hands here. Bring the chest forward. Now your shoulder blades are going to come together and your back ribs are moving away from the back wall. Last time, shooting round, back ribs round towards the back wall. And separate the hands. Chest expansion, spread the fingers. And bring your hands back down. My arms are heavy today. I'm surprised. They usually don't feel this heavy to me. We've already done our side stretches, so we're going to do our spinal circles. Safest place for spinal circles is right here, but today I'm going to cue from here. So you choose what feels better. I'm going to come over to the side bend, and then I'm going to show you what this looks like in the front. As my trunk comes forward, my knees bend. Trunk comes over to the other side. I straighten out the legs. I'm back at a side bend. I caught my earbud on my toe. Can you see that? And then you come back up to center. So side bend, trunk comes forward, side bend on the other side, and back up to top. Now, you can bend your legs and take your trunk as low as you want to go in these spinal circles, or you can keep it nice and shallow. And if your shoulders and strength feels okay, you can point your fingers. Do your circles in this way. Just make sure to bend your knees when you go forward. When you flex your spine forward, be sure and bend your knees. All right, let's pause and take it the other direction. Take whatever hand hold works for you. Move over to one side. Take your trunk forward, bend the knees, flexion in the spine, and come out the other side and stand tall. I'm sorry, I'm fighting my earbuds. Over, flex forward, and around, and up. Remember, this is an option. This makes the weight of the activity less on your core. We have options for everyone. You can squeeze your biceps towards your ears. Last time. That feels nice and delicious. Okay, hands go on our hips. We're going to do a back bend today, but when this particular back bend, I want you to think it more about hips forward than back bend. So normally when we think about a back bend, it's compression. So what I want you to do is stand tall, try to create as much length in your spine as you can, and then take your hips and just start to press the hips forward. And rather than taking the shoulders back, just take them tall and long. Keep pressing the hips forward. Keep taking shoulders tall and long. Draw navel into spine and turn on your glutes. And it's like you're trying to lift your rib cage up. So that's your standing back bend. Once again, revisit if you can keep your glutes turned on and your navel to your spine, and then bring your shoulders back over your hips. We're going to add that back bend to our hip root. Take your hip root down to the side. Pause here for a minute and just do a couple little swishes. And then we're going to sweep. So we're going to sweep our seat against the back of the room, bring the hip root to the other side, and then send the hips forward and tall, like that back bend that we did. And it's more about the hips going forward and the spine getting long. And then go into your hip root, swish, hips forward. Stand tall in your back bend. Stand tall, length, hip root, swish, nice and slow. Notice what you feel, and then stand tall. Let's take it the other direction. Hip root on the other side and pause, and just give a couple swishes in there. Notice where you're getting some sensation or stretch. And then swish, other side, send the hips forward, stand tall, lengthen through the spine. So you're not arching your back as much as you're sending your hips into full extension and countering that with a long spine. Hip root, swish, hips forward, hip root. Are these juicy or what? Oh man, I love these things. Send your hips forward, tall, long spine, and release and let it go. Good work. Let's make our way down to the mat. We're going to come to our quadruped position. And I showed you earlier that if getting down on the floor isn't an option, this shape is an option, what I did right there. You can just stand, because what we're trying to accomplish here is a little bit of wrist work. So let's see, I'll show you here. In quadruped, my knees are directly under my hips. So sometimes people get into quadruped here. That's not the shape that we're looking for. You want your hips back over your knees stacked, and then you want your wrists under your shoulders. So good architecture here. And then what you're simply doing is sending your shoulders out over your fingertips and then sending your hips back behind your knees. So we're getting this circular motion. I might add before I start, just like your toes, before we start, spread your fingers super, super wide and then go into that. And it's really up to you how much pressure you put in. The further forward you go, the deeper you're going to feel the stretch in your wrists. Take your circles in the other direction now and press back. So rather than just dumping in, fight back. So press your finger pads into the ground. Keep going. Press your fingertips into the ground or finger pads and see how you're activating your hand and forearm muscles to work with the circular motion. Okay, let's come to stillness now. I like to do this move called bulldog. So we're just going to take our fingers and turn them in like that. elbows bend out, and then you're gonna find your circles again. We'll go a little bit quicker now. Maybe 3 circles in one direction. You can do this standing with your hands at the table, and 3 circles in the other direction. So the more forward your hips are, the more you're going to feel this in your wrists. All right, now the final one, take one set of fingers, see if it's possible to turn the fingers away and then back towards your body so your thumb is out. And then see if you can even put a little bit of pressure in that arm. So for some of you, getting to this spot might be the challenge. And it's up to you how much weight is in this other hand. And then come back. We'll try that on the other side. Externally rotate, place the fingers down, and then see if you can put weight in that wrist. For some of you, it might be hard to straighten out the arms. So we're working on straightening out the arm. And breathe with this work. See if you can breathe into the sensation, breathe with the sensation. Now, here's what we're going to do. Take that original arm, bring the fingers back. Now, remember how we worked on our fingers? I want you to bend your elbow toward your body, peel your hand, your palm off the floor, and get this deep stretch. So I'm still applying some weight as I peel up, and I'm getting this lovely stretch. And all my fingers. And then I'm going to peel it back down. How delicious is that? Now, if you've never done it before, it might not be delicious. It might be terrifying. But use good judgment and take what you can from this exercise. I'm going to do it on the other side. So the elbow bends back towards the body. And I'm peeling the palm up, trying to keep the fingers down. Get some sensation and stretch and length in the fingers. Breathe with this work. And then peel it back down. All right, good job. So maybe come up and flick out your wrists. You can take your fingers and put them together. If you're sitting in your chair, that's fine. We're going to do an exercise we haven't done before, and I'm going to show it both ways, on the mat and in the chair. I'll show it on the mat first. Quadruped position. Keep your left hand on the ground and pretend like you're holding a bow. Your right fingertips are going to trace the left arm like you're pulling back the bow. Reach up. Now you're going to thread the right arm back behind the left wrist, hinge at the hip, reach, 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 reach. You can move your left hand so that your right shoulder and your temple come down to the floor. Now, if you're sitting in a chair and you're waiting for me to show you how to do this in the chair, same kind of idea, peel it up, thread it through, and then you can put your head down, you can put a pillow there. Everybody else, wherever you are, press through your left hand, push yourself back up, open up that arm one more time, maybe work your wrist out, and come back with me here. So hopefully this makes sense in either a chair or a mat. Let's try it on the other side. Peel the left arm up. Now, the left arm can go here or here, right? It doesn't have to go long. Thread the left arm behind the right wrist. You're hinging at the hips, bringing your torso to the mat. Make sure you place your head down, your temple, let it rest on the ground. I'm going to cue the people on the ground. Take your whole left arm from the fingertip to the shoulder and press the whole arm into the ground and use that torque to open up through the right shoulder a little bit. Breathe here. Try to breathe into this twist. Keep breathing. Now press your right hand back into the ground to lift up. Unthread the left arm. Open up. So this is really about the rotation here. So if the shoulder is unhappy, just open up the trunk and bring your hands back down to the ground. Great work, everyone. We're going to do one more exercise from this quadruped position. And those of you that are in a chair, you're just going to take this shape in the chair. I'm sorry. The shape is just going to look like this for you in a chair, hands on the table. So this is cat-cow with those activations that we learned about external rotation. So we did our suitcase external rotation, right? Find that on the mat. Find that external rotation, shoulders down and away from the ear. Now press into the mat and round your spine up to the sky. Draw your chin into your chest. So you're rounding your back, draw your navel in, and tuck your tail down to the mat. That's Halloween cat or cat pose. Breathe here, don't hold your breath. Now let's try to take the opposite pose. So find your front ribs. Pull your front ribs down to the mat. Allow your eye gaze to lift up. Your chin is going to lift up a little bit, and then your tail is going to flare. And now you're in cow pose. Now let's add the arm action a little bit more. Corkscrew, externally rotate through the shoulders, press away, round your back to the sky, and push into the table or mat as if you wanted to slide your hands forward, but they're not going to move forward. Like your fingertips are banging onto something and they can't move forward. Breathe. Now to move into cow pose, slightly bend the elbows and pull the hands, the palms back towards your knees as you move into cow pose. And it's almost like you're pulling it, well it is, you're pulling your hands back to your knees as you pull your chest through your arms. Lift up and look. Final time, press the mat away. Fingertips are energetically moving forward on the mat round, tuck the chin, cat pose. Bend the elbows, pull the wrist of the body to move into cow pose. Great work, yogis. And from here, we'll come to seated. So we're going to move into shin box now. So you're either sitting with your shin box or on the floor. So a lot of people wrote, what shin box? I don't know what shin box is. This is our shin box series. And we're going to start where everybody should start with shin box, which is just trying to sit on the ground with your feet flat on the floor. And you'll notice my shoulders aren't over my hips. I'm going to lean back here. All right, and you can turn your hands however you want to lean back. And we'll start by keeping one foot still and let the other one, let the knee feather in. And one thing you want to keep in mind here is your pelvis, the sits bones in your pelvis, they're not moving right now. Your pelvis is pretty much on the ground. Now, if I wanted my knee to go all the way in, see how I would bring my pelvis up off the ground? I don't want to do that. I just want to move in the range that I can keep my pelvis on the ground. Now, for some of you, you might just be going a couple of inches if you've never done that before, and that's fine. It's where you are today. So just be where you are. Remember, looking at myself or somebody in the room is just maybe a guide for what we're doing, but it's not a guide for how you should look. Pause. Plant that foot. Let's move the other one. So we're really looking for internal rotation here. So as I bring my knee back, I can take it out into external rotation, but I'm really looking internal rotation. Do a few more of those. So this is shin box 1. This is shin box 101. And then pause. Some of you might go back and just revisit what we did or try to figure it out in the chair. For others, here's what we're going to do. Start at the original leg, drop that knee, and then let the other knee go in the opposite direction. Now, the sit bone is going to come up here, okay? So let the sit bone come up and just feel how this feels in your hips. You might have to make some adjustments to get this to work for you, okay? And then place your hands behind you, lean back to your sits bones, bring both knees up. Try to keep the feet about where they are and find your shin box on the other side. All right, and you might need to make some adjustments. The closer the feet are in, you can just lean back and shin box. So see if you can transition between those two places. And the next piece we're going to add is you're going to shin box and then work on your posture. So if you're kind of slumpy, You're gonna sit up nice and tall and rotate your trunk towards your front leg. You should feel some stretch in the hip of your back leg. So sit up nice and tall in your front leg. And you can even play, if you're not in pain, you can play here. The back leg hip is elevated. I can play with peeling that hip up and down. My front leg knee might be off the ground a little bit, that's okay. So I can play with that deep rotation there, but I'm gonna lift it to shin box, find it on the other side. So my trunk rotates towards my front leg. I'm gonna find that length in the spine, allow that sensation of the stretch to take place, and then as long as there's no pain, I can play with that hip. So it's that sit bone that I'm flirting with, reaching down to the floor, and then bringing it back up. So you have that to play with in your toolbox. Let's shin box back over to the original place. This time, lift and lengthen in the spine, rotate the trunk right in line with the front leg. You can point your toes in this, by the way, or flex, it doesn't matter. Lift and lengthen through the spine, and then peel your belly button down. So notice my back is flat and long here. I'm not rounding yet. I'm peeling my belly button down, trying to get a stretch. So this is kind of like a pigeon stretch in yoga. And then you might have some blocks in here or some pillows, or just stay right here. Maybe this is where you go today. Maybe you can drape over your thigh and create a little place for your forehead with your wrists. But remember, you don't have to go exactly where I'm going. Just bringing your torso towards this front leg might be enough sensation for you. And then the knee that's behind you, you can activate that. You can point it, press it in the ground, or point it away. Keep breathing, my friends. Now, peel yourself up. Place your hands behind you, shin box in the other direction. Lift and lengthen through the spine, rotate the trunk towards the front leg. And then keep the back flat and the spine lifted as you keep bringing the belly button towards the front leg. Yeah, right there. Just pause when you feel sensation. You don't have to go any deeper. That's a great stretch for me in the glute of the knee that's in front, but I'm going to keep peeling down to the floor a little bit. And it's nice if you have a book or a pillow or a yoga block to be able to really let go in the neck and just prop it up so you can completely relax and breathe into this shape. Today, we're going to take this shape. We did this last week. We're going to take this shape one more step today. So let's peel up out of this. Shin box over one more time. And this time, rather than bringing, I'm going to move a little bit so you can see me, rather than lining up with the front leg, I'm going to twist beyond the front leg. So before I framed the leg and I came over, now I'm going to move beyond the leg, away from the leg that's behind me, and start to bring myself to the floor. You might feel a deep stretch in the front of the hip here. Keep breathing with this movement. You can bring your hands out in front. Woo, I got a cramp. How about you? I just got a cramp. I have to come out of it. Sit up. Shin box. And I'm going to find that on the other side. I'm just going to move so you can see me. So I'm going to not frame it, but I'm going to move beyond it. Big twist. And come down to my elbows. Whew, I haven't done shin box in a while. I can feel it. So I'm getting some crampy on this side too. So I have to work with it, right? So if I completely close my trunk, it's too crampy for me. So I'm opening up my trunk a little bit, trying to ease into it. And then bring yourself back up to seated. Shin box one more time. And then bring your feet out in front of you or sit in whatever way feels good to you. It's a pleasure and honor to get to share this movement practice with you.